And here to explain the breakdown of, how exactly we know whether we can call it that is our law enforcement analyst, John Urquhart, former King County Sheriff. Thank you so much for being here.
You bet.
You were talking about how the definition from the FBI's standpoint has changed about a mass shooting.
It has kind of changed over the last few years. Up till about 2010, the FBI also called 4 or more victims a mass shooting. Now they've changed and they use a definition that's a little more nebulous. It's an individual or individuals that try to kill or injure people in a populated area with not separated by time or location. And it doesn't specify a weapon. So it's really a mass casualty event that could be any weapon as opposed to just a gun. Congress in 2012, they came up with the definition, continued the definition of 4 people in a shooting situation, not counting the shooter. And it's a way of tracking these types of incidents without being too specific.
Well, when you hear about this happening, we know that thousands of people were down there at Seattle Center. There was a major summer event, the Bite of Seattle, taking place. We know hundreds of thousands of people are attracted to that area specifically for that. Others may have been tourists just enjoying the views of the Space Needle and all that's down there. What's your reaction, John, to hearing this taking place today?
Well, it's Bite of Seattle is one of the main events of the summer. It's at the Seattle Center, which is certainly a tourist location with everything that's going on down there. And I think your reporter described it as shoulder to shoulder people there. So you can imagine on a nice Sunday evening how packed it must have been and the terror these people must have undergone knowing that there was a shooter out there. And we don't know yet how many shots were fired, but the sheer panic that was undoubtedly in this situation.
Those witnesses described people falling, people trying to hide. And in that video we were just showing you, you could see that they have the FBI out there on the scene. So I wanted to get your perspective, former sheriff, of just talking about the FBI getting involved, but also just the initial stages of an investigation of this scale. What does that look like?
Well, the good news is the Seattle Police Department is a big police agency, and they can certainly handle something like this, but they're also going to need other agencies to come in and assist. FBI apparently is on the scene, King County Sheriff's Office is there, ATF is there, because they'll be able to analyze the bullet casings, that sort of thing. The weapon, if any weapons have been recovered, or when weapons are recovered, they're going to need help in interviewing these hundreds, if not thousands, of witnesses as well, to try to hone in on who did this, how many did it, and what the motive was. That's absolutely critical, is why did this happen? And that's one of the things they're going to be looking at in what appears to be a giant crime scene.
Of course, and those are the remaining questions. Now we've gotten clarity on the 2 people that were killed, the 5 that were injured, but we still are waiting to find out about a suspect or suspects, whether they're in custody or whether they're still out there. Of course, that'll be the detail we're working to gather next.
Or we're one of the victims. That could also happen.
Yeah,
and what we haven't heard yet is, were there any other patients that went to Harborview because they were injured in the melee that followed? Did they get trampled? Did they, fall off one of the retaining walls or whatever? Lots of things could happen, and people can get injured after the actual shooting gets stopped.
You did such a great job of describing this chaotic scene, shoulder to shoulder, then all of a sudden people running all at once. When police are running into that situation, we've got people running out, getting evacuated, but they're running into the potential danger. As an officer, what is the #1 priority? What do you do first in that situation?
The #1 priority is get to that shooter and make him stop. Either take him into custody or kill him. It's as simple as that. That is the #1 priority going into a hot scene like this. #2, they want to get as much information and as much evidence as they can from as many witnesses as they can. But the very first thing is go towards those shots, run towards those gunshots, and catch that suspect. That's #1.
Well, with so many people at Seattle Center today and so much online, I mean, we have everything on video nowadays going around on social media. How do police officers determine what's real and what's not when we have so many things circulating on the internet?
That has to be just through investigation, and it won't be tonight. It'll be in the coming days and probably weeks as this is investigated. And that's why the help of the FBI is really critical. Remember, the federal government has a lot more resources than local police do, and that could play into the investigation as it unfolds. Just the number of bodies that are there to assist, again, with the assistance of the Sheriff's Office, ATF, FBI, helping out SPD as big of agency as they are, certainly the largest in the state of Washington, outside State Patrol, largest in the Northwest. They had a lot of resources they can bring to bear on this, but it's still not going to be enough without these other police agencies to help.